What makes this team? How do you recognize it? But most importantly, how do you fit in that team?
Good evening, my brother Rams. How are you doing, man?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm super. I can see you're on fire, man. This is exciting. All right. So now, I think the most important thing to realize is the fact that the concept of teamwork says that together everyone achieves more. That's the point. And so when you look at effective teams, successful teams, there are certain characteristics that you find. And it's important that we are able to mirror those in our own settings. And I'm talking even from something, a relationship, whether it's a marriage or it's a romantic relationship, it's a team, and everywhere you've got to connect with someone else other than your own in pursuit of specific objectives. It is a team. So the first characteristic is a clear unity of purpose. There is no division. In fact, the word division means division. It means having two visions in one context, and that's why when there is division, people don't see the same thing. They may be uniform, but they're not united. So it's important to understand that in an effective team, there is clear unity of purpose. We all see the same thing. We are all aiming for the same thing, and that alignment needs to be reached. That alignment needs to be fostered in the context of an effective team. That's the first one, right? Okay. The second one says that the team comes to a point where it discusses its objectives. There is no imposition of objectives. There is a clear, explicit, and mutually agreed upon approach that everybody understands. Everyone understands what are the mechanics, what are the norms, what is expected, what are the rules. A lot of times we want to rush through the rules so that we can get into the exciting stuff. But then we find that we begin, to cross boundaries, and then all of that starts to affect the effectiveness of the team simply because we did not take time to read the fine print and to discuss the fine print and make sure that we were all on the same page. Sometimes the success of the team is dependent on the consciousness of the team about its own operations. That plays the biggest part in terms of what the team does. I don't know if I can go to the third one, Rams.
Yes, Dr. T. Let's roll them. I'll ask questions as we go along.
Okay, lovely. So thirdly, an effective characteristic is that the group has set clear, demanding performance goals for itself, and it can translate these goals into concrete milestones against which it measures itself. So the team has this larger goal. This is where we are going. That's the big goal, right? But this big goal must be broken into smaller goals so that we can celebrate the small wins. As we celebrate the small wins, we know that we are well on our way to the big goal. It's almost like, if you were to eat an elephant, it's one bite at a time, but we celebrate those small bites. A lot of teams frustrate themselves because it's always this big bear goal that's in front there, and there are no smaller build-up goals. So successful teams are very clear on the big goal, but they use the small goals to measure their performance. It's the same thing. A big shot is only a small shot who kept on shooting. He was winning the small ones, and it led to the big ones. And again, effective teams have an atmosphere that tends to be very comfortable and relaxed. There are no obvious tensions. There are no moods in a winning team, Rams. And you find that people in a winning team, the atmosphere is one of openness. It is one of mutually working together, but it's one of understanding where, you don't have those things where they say, no, man, the air was so tense, you could slice it with a knife. No, in effective teams, the air is very accommodating and everybody feels at home.
Does it mean then that everybody gets to participate?
Oh, absolutely. There is a lot of discussion in which everybody participates. There are no stupid questions in a team. Yes, if a discussion gets off track, someone brings it back into order, but the members listen to one another. Every idea is given a hearing, and the people are not afraid of being foolish by putting forth a creative thought, even if it seems extreme. Believe me, a lot of times, if teams would listen to the most quiet guy, to the guy who sometimes struggle to get words out, believe me, a lot of answers are found even in the guy who looks like they don't have it together. So effective team create an atmosphere intentionally, by the way, where everyone participates and everyone has a voice. That's very important.
I used to have a teacher who used to say, the only stupid question is the one you did not ask.
That's so true. My gosh, that's so true. That's so true. And you see, in effective teams, Rams, and building up on that, people are free in expressing their feelings as well as their ideas. The functionality of a team is as functional as its degree that its members can express themselves. That's very, very important. And we need to understand that in an effective team, disagreement is viewed as healthy. Disagreement does not imply animosity. I know that we've got leaders that the moment you disagree with them, you are branded the enemy of the state, the enemy of you. Of humankind. We've seen it in political arenas on our continent. It's very sad. If you are a dissenting voice, you are not viewed as a progressive voice, but you are viewed as a detractor. But progressive people will actually tell you that if everyone is thinking alike, then someone isn't thinking.
True that.
So powerful, effective teams, they will foster and actually look for dissenting views, because that is healthy to the function of an effective team. If you don't find a dissension within yourself, you will get it from your competitors, and they will not be kind about it.
But do such teams then, Dr. T, get to reach agreement? Do they get to make decisions? Because it sounds like it becomes a free-for-all. We could end up discussing forever, even when we disagree.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That could be a possibility. But you see, the powerful thing about effective teams is that decisions are made at a point where there is general agreement. So those who disagree with the general agreement of the group, they don't keep their opposition private. And that's the power of it. Because remember, if you keep your opposition private, you fall into what is called into this mob psychology, where you have bought in publicly, but you really haven't bought in. Then after the meeting, you say to people, I knew this thing wasn't going to work. Yeah, I know they said this in the meeting, but I don't think this is going to work. You see, but it's very important that effective teams, winning teams, if there is a different opinion, it is voiced, right? But there is general consensus that moves the team in a certain way. And once the team agrees in a certain direction, everyone is bound to put in their effort into it. Just like how Marines do. Once a decision is made, even if someone had a different viewpoint, they are committed to the outcome that everybody has agreed on. So you'll find that the guy who strongly had a difference of opinion is the one who is backing your opinion once the team decides on that direction. Can you imagine how much we could do if we just followed that principle of effective teamwork?
In fact, I see that principle I see it in the relay team that you spoke to us about, because the guy who gets the baton last, even if he's last in the group that he starts with, he still gives as much effort as though he's going to win this race, because he's part of a team. So he's not going to say, well, you guys were late. He's late with the team. He owns it up with everybody else, and he gives as much effort and he puts his weight into this run.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You see, every individual carries their own weight, but the weight is contextualized in the goals of the team, So that is why, as you're saying, everybody puts in their 110%, whether the team is at an advantage or it's at a disadvantage. I've seen it. I follow a lot of these successful coaches, whether it was an Arsene Wenger or say Alex Ferguson or it's a Jose Mourinho, and the way they talk about their players, that what, we were 3-0 down, and when he came on, he was a substitute, which means that, nobody loves to be a substitute. Everybody wants to play the 90 minutes, But when he came on as a substitute, he was ready to put himself on the line for the team. So the guy carried his weight, but applied himself, as much as possible to the outcomes of the team, and that is very important, so that each individual will respect the mechanics of the group, will respect the laws of the group, arrive on time, complete given tasks on time. When action is taken, clear everything. And and just give yourself for the outcome of the team. I've got this thing that when in a relationship, one of the key things is always being the bigger person. In teamwork, you've got to be the bigger person. For example, if someone brings offense at you within the context of a team, be the bigger person. In the context of a relationship, it's funny that now during this lockdown, they say the divorce rates and the rates of breakups, shot through the roof. Well, that happened because nobody wanted to be the bigger person. But see, when you're working within the team context, you must always be the bigger person, be the one that carries the bigger outcomes, in context, and says, you know what, I can take a shot for the team, but I'm going to bring reconciliation, I'm going to bring direction. So you carry your weight, but in the context of the outcomes of the team.
Does that mean, though, Dr. T, that there is no criticism then among team members or even in a relationship?
No, actually, criticism has a constructive flavor. And I think this is where the thin line is. A lot of people bring criticism, but they bring it in a demeaning manner. And when criticism is being brought in a demeaning manner, it becomes personal. So it's no longer about the ideas that I'm making. But it's now about the fact that I think you are beneath the level of the discussion, you see. And that is where the challenge is, because now it becomes about criticizing people and not critiquing ideas. You need to be able to play the ball and not play the man. So effective teams have managed to reach that balance where even if there is criticism being brought, it's so constructive that everyone is comfortable. It does not slice the atmosphere. And I think all of us have got some work to do in this dimension, because a lot of times, especially within teams, we let emotions take the most of it, when actually, the constructive flavor needs to come out in a very, very powerful way around.
Wow, I love that, Dr. T. Okay, let's go on.
All right. And so another powerful thing, by the way, about true and effective teamwork is that everybody is given an opportunity to lead. The leadership of the group shifts from time to time. You see, the issue is not about who controls, but the issue is about how do we get the job done. So there is no concept of a lifelong presidency in a team, because the very context of team implies that there will be a change in leadership. And yes. I know, Ram, this is not a political show, but we've got a lot to learn in our African continent when it comes to this. A lot of people think that they are the hero, they are the savior, and they want to die holding the reins. You see, that's not teamwork. That's exactly the opposite of teamwork, And so it's not about who controls, it's about how we get the job done. The goals of the team are more important than who wears what shirt in the team and how long they wear the shirt for. I think that's very important.
Well, Dr. T, you opened the door, so I'm going to take advantage of that. I also believe, though, in terms of politics, I tend to blame the electorate. We create the big daddies in politics. We tend to think these people are born with the leadership qualities and right, that we actually feel guilty for not giving them our vote. So, I think we create these people who want to stay there forever. But let's get out of politics quickly. Let's move on to our conversation.
I like it. I like it. Maybe one day we need to discuss leadership in Africa, and really deal with a lot of these things, because then it goes from politics to organizations, but we're dealing with certain concepts of leadership. I think that would be great. Right. Yeah. Now, the team, my next point, before we start to close, is that the team is able to stay ahead of the change curve through adapting. Mm-hmm. There is no effective team, Rams, that has longevity but fails to adapt. As a proper part of its normal function, there is the functionality within the team that looks at future sustainability. And that says, what do we need to do to remain relevant? What do we need to do to be relevant in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? So part of the function of the team is to ensure that we change before the change happens. We stay ahead of what is called the change curve. A lot of times, remember there are 3 dimensions to change. You change before you have to, which is a great win. You change because you have to, which is a painful win. You change after you have to, which is a very, very big loss. Right from the business context to everything else, those 3 windows are always in play. But effective teams, they know that we've got to adapt even before that adaptation is demanded of us. Then we are always ahead of the change curve. Effective teams will always ensure their sustainability, their long-term sustainability.
Great. And the last point, Dr. T.
Right. The last point is that effective teams will go out of their way to create psychological safety. And psychological safety is built on the basis of dependability. Right. Teams know how to build dependability on the basis of one another. If you look at the Marines, the US Marines, they understand that their success is dependent on the next man or the next woman. So the ascent of the team is directly proportional to the descent of each individual, so that they can count on one another. In fact, they create whenever they are doing their recruitment, they create environments where individuals fail until they learn to depend on one another. And the more they learn to depend on one another, there is now what's called psychological safety. Remember, within a team context, you can only get the extra mile where there is psychological safety, where people feel they belong, where people feel that he's got my back, I've got your back. Remember, that's always a two-way. If I know that Rams has got my back, I will go out of my way to also have Rams' back. That is why Marines, they don't leave a soldier behind. When someone is in a disadvantaged situation, they will do everything they can to go and get them. They are very mechanical in that. It's almost like feelings don't exist. Why? Because they have created such psychological safety within the context of their team that they can depend on one another no matter what. I want to say, Rams, that there's a lot we could do in teams if we don't mind who gets the glory. We are building the Talk with Rams platform. We all apply ourselves. There is one Rams, but we understand we are building this as a team. And so we have each other's back. And there's a lot that we can do for entrepreneurs in this country if we don't mind who gets the glory. I think that's a characteristic of an effective team, Rams.
I love that, Dr. T. I love that, especially when you put it in the context of what we're doing here on Talk with Rams. Ultimately, it could be called Talk with Rams, but without you, it doesn't exist. Without Freddie putting this thing together and making sure that we appear on screen as good as we can appear, and we're heard by everyone. Without Nontobeko chasing everyone and making sure that she gets the details about them, it doesn't have. There's no team. There's no show.
I agree with you 100%. It's teamwork. We are focused on the outcomes for the team, and we give ourselves for the team, and we win great things for the team. It's winning is the eventual outworking of a team that works coherently and that works in unison in pursuit of its goals.
Okay, let's conclude then, Dr. T.
All right. I want to conclude, Rams, by saying that effective teams must build what is called synergy. Synergy is 1 + 1 is greater than 2. 1 + 1 is greater than 2. And you understand that a team has synergy when it always finds new ways of working? How do we become effective? How do we get around things? When team members initiate change, we are winning. When actually change comes from the team members themselves, you don't have to wait for a leader or for the situation to demand change. When the team sets fresh challenges, guys, we've done this, we've achieved. How about we set new challenges for ourselves? When team members spread good practice, good governance, good practice, good communications, when you see those things now becoming apparent without being stressed, then you know that we have a winning team. When team members coach and support each other, and even start to do so with other teams, I'm a part of a number of teams, and you find people going out of their way to help others where they know they will get nothing out of of helping the other person. Then we've got a team, because we know we all are working for the same outcomes. And when teams take the lead in more often in more than their area of expertise, when people are now saying, you know what, yes, I'm good at this, but I can also help you there, I can do this. And also when connections are made across the team, more widely even across the organizations, where it's not just this business unit on its own, or it's not just the Mabote clan or just the Sibanda clan or the Mavitsela clan, but we're now able to work right across our own individual identities. That we are going places and we are bringing value to the work that we are doing. If we did this in our relationships in homes, in our relationships with our kids, in our relationships at work, and in terms of the outcomes of our own businesses, man, we can be an amazing, Team Talk with Rams, Team South Africa, Team Africa, and Team Global. We will be an effective team, Rams.
Wow. Guys, you thought this man was good on a Monday. I think he's special on a Tuesday. He's even more smoking on a Tuesday. Dr. T, wow, I love this. I love this. In fact, again, you keep on giving context to a lot of things. I mean, I said to the guys, they must join us. We're going to build teams together. We're going to form this WhatsApp team and talk together and stuff like that. And this is the kind of stuff that I want us to do together. As you say, we have to build a great team, for South Africa, for Africa, for the world. And one day we'll be the greatest entrepreneurs, all of us in our different spheres, but having built it in a team context. So I hope you guys do join us in this thing, because it's a long journey, but if you stay outside, you will lose out on this conversation. Dr. Thando Sibanda, always wonderful having you here. Thank you very much for tonight.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure. I am very excited about what lies ahead. Thank you.
Great stuff, Dr. T. We shall see you next Tuesday. And you folks, we shall see you next Monday. Please write to us, admin@talkwithrams.com. Send us all your details. We are forming a family beyond what happens on air. We stay together, we work together, we grow as a team, and we're going to bring you more opportunities, and it's going to cost you nothing but your time and data, but you are going to walk out the winner. So if you don't join in, you lose out. Freddie, I'm sorry I'm not going to see you until Monday, my brother. But at some point you're going to have to survive without me. So from me, Rams Mabote, good night and God bless.